Hello, everyone that's watching. I've got one of my clients, Mack, here today just to discuss his experience in the program, where he was before, what he experienced in the program, and the results that he got from the program. And I'm going to keep this one very simple and sweet. So I suppose, Mack, I'll just hand it over to you straight away and just explain to me a little bit where you were before we started working together. What was your previous situation like?
This was just I started just at the turn of the year. So I got in touch with you in December. And we didn't really start until January because obviously the Christmas break. But I remember being in December, I had just come out of a bunch of projects. I was smoking, I was drinking, and I was like in this position where I just felt pretty lost and like unconfident, lost with direction, and I just felt terrible if I'm honest. Like I remember just feeling bogged down every single day, doubting my decisions, had no one to talk to. That was probably one of the biggest things that I needed was like I needed someone to talk to, right?
Hmm.
To confirm my own sort of choices because I was just by myself the whole time. I'd spend 5 days a week sat here by myself, just not knowing if I was making the right decisions, and my work wasn't really producing anything. And I just felt awful, if I'm honest. And yeah, I just so before the starting this, I was pretty much lost in pretty much every regard. Yeah.
Oh, I get that. I can
Hmm.
completely relate to it, mate. And that's why I do what I do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Completely relate to that. And had you tried anything before to help with this in the past? Had you, look, I get there's the common things, podcasts, books, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Had you tried anything before to help with this? Your
So
self-sabotage.
so my self-sabotage had been consistent since I was maybe like 13. And I'm not even joking, this has been like 10 years in the making. And then it was a couple years before, so last year of uni, I started doing the self-help books, started doing the journaling, and getting the right type of content through my social media. They massively that was like the spark of like the
Hmm.
change in my life. But it wasn't like, reading and writing was life-changing for me, but it only got me to a certain point. And because of my habits, it was like I was stuck in this little cycle and it was just like spiraling. It was still spiraling regardless of what I was reading and writing. So yeah, I had tried, but I needed something way more sort of on the mark, and yeah, this is what has ended up sort of providing for me. It was exactly what I needed. Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that because most people know what to do. Right, so you can read all the books in the world and okay, I should do X, Y, Z, but
Hmm.
knowledge isn't everything,
No,
Especially in
100%.
today's world, mate, you can go online, chat GPT, you can find out how to do things, but that's not what people need.
No.
Um, so good for you, mate. And I suppose you've kind of answered this, but what was, you said you were feeling a bit bogged down. I take it you were sick of that. So I was going to ask, what was the turning point to just jump into something like this, mate, into a coaching program?
You said it. I was so sick of it. I was so sick of not providing any results for myself. I was so sick of not providing any results for my business. And so then it started with exercise as well. And that was another thing that
Hmm.
kind of helped me was like, I was like, I just can't feel this way anymore. And then, I was still providing results when they came in and stuff like that, but it just wasn't enough. So yeah, um, it was just like I had an internal moment where I was just like, oh, I saw your advert, and I was like,
Hmm.
this guy has nailed every single aspect of what I'm going through right now. And that was doom scrolling, the smoking, the drinking, the feeling like crap every Monday, even till Tuesday, Wednesday. Like um, I wouldn't feel right until Thursday, and then Friday comes around, and then I've ruined it again until the next Wednesday. It's just like it was just savage what I was doing to my mind, my body, and to my direction. Yeah,
Yeah, your business goals, mate, because, that leads to procrastination.
yeah.
It's all linked. But you know
Hmm.
what? Good. I'll say this right now, and I'll say it again at the end. Like, good for you for realizing and actually doing something about it, mate.
Yeah.
Because, and the thing is, I sat in that sort of cycle for a lot longer than I should have. Do I regret it? No, I am where I am. But even if you're not, this is something I try and tell people as well. You don't need to be 100% committed to changing, before you try and make a change. I think that's what a lot of people disregard. I think you were motivated, but I think action comes before motivation a lot of the times. But
Yeah.
people wait to be motivated to make a change,
Hmm.
and it never comes.
And I think with hindsight, one of the biggest things that you ever told me was subtraction comes first.
Hmm.
Um, that one stuck with me, and I still, when I start adding things to my life again, and I've done it recently, I just go, I've got to cut that back out again, and
Yeah,
always the first step for me now. Is like, it's not what more I can do, it's like what like less I can do, right, with certain things, and then it kind of opens up the broader spectrum for the more positive things to come back in, and that has stuck with me massively.
fantastic. So yeah, what were your first impressions, and I was actually going to ask what is the most valuable part of this program or
Yes, so
process you've been through? And you've touched on something there which was very good. I don't know if that is the most valuable. Maybe it is. But what's the most
For
valuable for
me,
you?
it was a bit of, the subtraction, the like law of subtraction, and it was also the accountability. You'd message me like every day, like, "Are you doing this? You doing that?" That was like exactly what I needed. That was what it
Hmm.
was. It's just conversating about getting it out of my own head, and that sort of like spirals. Like, is this right? So I'd try something. Is this right? I don't know. Then it was like back to the start. It's like, should I try this? What talking to you kind of gave me was like a second opinion that just helped me, you know, it's like, is this the right thing to do? And with your experience, you were able to go, yes, that is the right thing, or no, that isn't the right thing. And whether if like some things were perfect or not, like just having the confidence to just take it and take it even further and figure out if it was right or not was seriously valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I think what most people are scared of. It's taking
Was
to say
committing.
like
I wouldn't commit to anything. I couldn't
no,
commit to anything because I was so unsure of
yeah,
myself. But just being able
exactly,
to get it out of my head gave me like clarity, and clarity was a massive thing. Yeah.
exactly. So you mentioned before shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the thing. You plan to do something. You are you've planned it for a day or two. Then it comes time to doing the thing, and you're like, oh wait a minute, there might be a better way of doing this, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's so common to hear, mate. And I remember you going through that as well.
So massively. Yeah, that was non-stop. That was like for like it felt like for maybe like half a year, even like sort of the 3 months before I joined you, and the 3 months after, I was still in that shiny object syndrome. But
Definitely,
but now I've kind of like I'm on to the right thing. But that takes
100%, mate.
experimentation and just yeah, commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people underestimate it. Just it's not all about the tactics of doing something. It's just sticking at the same tactic usually
Yeah.
gets you there.
Because I'd seen
So,
positive results before.
hmm
So obviously I was doing the right thing. I just would then become so unsure of myself that I'd move on to the next thing, even though the first thing was the original idea, which originally was working.
hmm
It just was, yeah, it was just clarity that I needed to just come back to it and just stick it out.
Look, everyone, I'm telling you, man, I've been through that as well, and you have to kind of go through that yourself to realize that. So, talk to me, Mac, about with all the habits, the procrastination, the clarity, the accountability. What did that all get? What's the results of this? As you sit here today, what's changed for you in your life and your business?
So what's changed mostly in my life is like um a lot of the mindset changes have like to everything that I do, I kind of have a different mindset to now.
Hmm.
And that comes with confidence, and that comes with, I can't remember like all the specific things, like they're more like mental frameworks that I use for myself, and it's like very task orientated or something, but like the baseline standard of
Yes.
my own self is like, what do I need to get done today? And even if it's just this, that means I've had a good day, and just like setting that for myself. And
Hmm.
that changes quite often because, you know, I'll be like onto one thing and onto another, but like as long as the baseline is done, yeah, we're moving. And so the next the thing with that is like marketing right now, it's like a massive need for me to do a certain amount of outreach every day, and there's got to be a massive need for me to, create relationships and put my content out and stuff like that. And I'm increasingly getting better because you don't just flick a switch and be perfect at all these things. You never probably end up being perfect at all these things, but the baseline standard helps you be consistent, and it's compounding as well. So that's yeah, great.
100%. The baseline standard's amazing though because even before using that, you're probably expecting yourself to do everything every day,
Yeah.
and then you can never be happy because you can never hit that standard.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know,
Even if I
it's
had a good day,
yeah.
I would still feel bad
Hmm.
because, it was just like my whole plan was just up in the air all the time. But
Because
now
you've
it's
not
grounded.
exactly because you've not done every single thing that you could have done in that day. Although you don't have enough time in the day. See, this is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing. So this is a problem with people holding the standards too high, and that's the ego thing. Not that you bring your standards down to a yard and you increase it over time. That's not to say you don't improve. But that's a little bit of the ego death, mate, to be
yeah.
honest.
Hmm.
Perfect, mate. And how's this affected your business? What's changed for it then?
So business is looking really good. It's very much changed. It's still like I'm still building on the consistency side of things.
Hmm.
Um, But I have gone from charging, so like the confidence that you've given me as well, massively. I've gone from charging like 1,000, or like I was charging like 850. I was like clambering for £850 websites. And now this week, dotted line's not quite there, but it's looking very, very, very likely. And if I get this deal, it's a £10,000 deal. And another one that's come in, which is another grand and a half deal. So it's still, doing the upper and lower scale, just getting through. But that's like a 12 grand. Well, yeah, with other payments that have come through from other things, that's like a 12 grand week. Um, and I mean, that's life-changing amount of money for me. And it was always the goal. Well, my goal was 4K month. And then we ended up
Yeah,
hitting,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we ended up hitting a 12 grand week. So the results speak for themselves, and just having the confidence to tackle that, and actually say it on the call. Well, not even the call. You text me. You were like, say 10 grand over and over again to yourself. And I was on a walk listening to music. I was like, 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand, and I was just doing it. And it's just that backing. I was just like, you just fully backed me. I never. I'd update you, and you were just always there to just give me the right advice. So, yeah, I really, really appreciate it.
No, perfect, Mac. And you know what? This is great. The money's great, but it's all the other things. The confidence to ask for 10 grand, the self-doubt disappearing, the
Yeah.
habits.
Hmm.
These that's the thing that creates the money.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah, 100%. It's not even about the money for me. Like,
no, no,
money's an output of, consistency, really, and like your ability and consistency combined. The money's just an output of what you can put in. So,
100%, mate.
I
And
don't
now
think
you
about I don't even think about the money anymore.
no.
Obviously, it's still nerve-wracking when I'm on a 10K deal call, but that's discomfort, and discomfort's actually a good thing when you've kind of asked for it.
Hmm.
Um, so I just lean into that now, and I'm like, if I feel nervous, I'm like, I'm making the right decision
Yeah,
because that's growth.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly right. If
Hmm.
you feel nervous, you're doing something that you should be doing.
And I recognize that now, massively
Hmm.
recognize that within myself, and that's yeah, it's a great feeling to know that like I can pretty much overcome any sort of like anxiety within my business setting.
Absolutely fantastic, Mac. So yeah, mate, and look, I'm very excited to see what happens next. And obviously, I just want, give yourself credit, thank yourself for taking a jump to try and change this, mate, as well.
Yeah.
Because
I
and
knew it
this
was
is
right. As soon as you spoke to me through that advert, I was like, this is it, man. This is like I need this guy to like sort me out, and you did, man. I really
well, no, 100%, mate.
not 100%, but like, mate, the support has been massively life-changing. So yeah.
Definitely, mate. And there's plenty more for you. Because this is the thing, you never stop working on this stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know that, mate. You've said that plenty of times on the calls. But this is brilliant. You took a little because here's the alternative, right? And this is what I just want to make clear to people. Here's the alternative. You've taken the step to do this program, okay, for 6 months.
Hmm.
It's changed everything for you in terms of your life. And as a byproduct of that, you went from a grand or two a month to having a 12K week. Okay.
Hmm.
The other road would have been that you sat and done nothing, and you'd be sitting in your room today in the exact same situation as you were six
Yeah.
months ago.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, being in the same situation 6 months later is as good as going backwards,
Yeah. But
but you
it's
realize
almost
that.
it's like as scary to be that stale for that long. Like if I was in the same position as I was in at Christmas, I don't think I'd be doing this anymore.
No.
And now I've got results that I couldn't have even dreamed of when I was back then. So
And stuff you can use for life, mate. That's the thing. This is, I hope that this helps everyone for life.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So,
mate, the lessons I have learned from your sort of teachings and stuff like that have, yeah, they've changed. They've shaped my. There's only certain things I can recall back in my life where like that shaped me, but these conversations has like shaped my mindset, and I don't see that
brilliant.
ever going away for sure.
Definitely, Mac. Brilliant, mate. I'm really happy that you've done this for yourself, to be honest. So, mate, Mac, last question. If anyone's sitting on the fence about joining the program, anyone who's following me, if
Yeah.
you're listening, hello. Genuinely, not just from a point of view of my program, but for themselves, what would you recommend they do?
If you are ready for change, and you know that you need to change, then invest in this. It's a small investment for the outcome. It's like it is so worth it, and I mean that with like everything I have. It's been 100% worth every moment. Turning up to the calls sometimes. I'll be totally honest. Sometimes I didn't want to jump on a call because of myself, like I hadn't done something or whatever. But you jump on and be like, this is a process, right? Like this isn't gonna help in 1 week. If you jump into this, try and just like squash the part of you that's like gonna flake, it's gonna make you not want to jump on calls. Squash it, just keep going through with it, keep learning, keep just trying to self-improve. And if you're ready for self-improvement, then jump in. That's all I can say. I was nervous, didn't know what to expect, but I was kind of open-minded. So if you're if
You
you're ready
were.
to do it, then and even if you don't feel ready, give it a shot, because like there's nothing negative that's going to come out of this at all. There's nothing negative. Um, so yeah, it's changed my life, and I appreciate it, and I will appreciate it for the rest of my life, and I mean
No,
that.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, and I do. That's nice to hear, but you've done it for yourself as well, mate. So,
Mhm.
thank you very much, Mac.
I appreciate it, mate.
It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and I hope anyone listening has enjoyed the call.